Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, in the last several weeks, I've made videos here and there on how I felt that we were either nearing or in the beginning of what you might refer to as the next stage in all of this, the next phase that they're going to push us through. Some of it's just gut feeling, and I think a lot of people are feeling that. Of course, this surge of the new variant is part of that. A new year, and then a lot of the things that they're saying. And I always try. I try not to be, sensationalizing things and try to, sell things based on fear and get people to watch the channel based on that. But there are sometimes things that are they are sensational, and there's not really any other way to put it. I think we are in that kind of starting stage, whatever you want to call it, however you want to say it, of we're seeing things happen. Things are changing. Things are getting worse. And I think without causing fear in some of you, I think we need to really kind of brace ourselves. I think we're about ready to see things kind of shift badly, get worse. There's just kind of I think a sense, a feel with a lot of people, not just with the rapidly increasing numbers of this new variant that, whatever, but just a lot of the stuff that's going on. And I want to key in on some things to kind of back up my theory. And I think a lot of you are feeling that too. Just holidays are over, the new year's over, and now we're getting ready for whatever is going to happen to start gearing up and start coming at us. A couple of weeks back, and you all probably are aware of this, I talked about how the president, Joe Biden, had said, he was sitting in his, fake stage set that they have. It's the fake White House set, that they admit that's what it is, but there's never any real reason for why they're doing it. But anyways, that's beside the point. Anyways, he was sitting there and he said something to the effect that, if you've complied, if you've done what we've told you to do, then you're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. We're not going to make you do things you don't want to do. But for those of you that just have not obeyed, those of you that have just refused to fall in line with our orders, it's going to be a bad winter for you. There's going to be death and sicknesses and family members you're going to lose. It's going to be bad. Remember that? All right, well, it's not just ending there. He talked the other day and kind of said similar kind of things, warnings that all of you rebellious and non-compliant people, it's going to be bad. Look at what some of these other world leaders are saying. France's Prime Minister said this. Basically he said, number one, he called people that didn't get this, he's calling them non-citizens. He said that they're non-citizens and that their goal is to piss them off, pardon the French, to make these new non-citizens mad, and to keep doing it until the bitter end. That he's just, there was a few other things. And in fact, the French media is really kind of beating him up because I guess he used some other vulgar and explicitive language in this interview that I'm not going to repeat on here. But it was all in reference to people that aren't getting this. He's not the only one, though, because a few days before that, Canada's Prime Minister was saying that, well, all these people that aren't doing this, they're all unscientific, they're all a bunch of misogynistic and racist people. Man, there's some pretty harsh languages. I cannot remember a time, and if I'm wrong, please someone point it out, or if someone can remember a time when world leaders, not just here in the United States, but world leaders have used this kind of language against their own citizens, not against enemies, not against terrorists or anything like that, but against their own citizens. This is harsh, that we're hearing this kind of language. This is extremely divisive. And you can say that I'm exaggerating, but this kind of language, I'm telling you, takes us down a very scary path of genocide. And I know that's really extreme to say. I know a lot of you are like, whoa, whoa, hit the brakes there a little bit. That you're kind of taking it too far. But I don't think that I am, because there's not too many times in history that you're going to hear world leaders speak this kind of language about their citizens, not criminals or foreign adversaries, but their own citizens, and it not lead down a path of either a genocide or very near genocide. We've already talked about it, and it's been in the news, it's been online a lot, with this mass psychosis, which I believe is absolutely correct. And the reason why I believe it's correct, not just because I've been researching it for months now, but because the moment it starts to become popularized on the internet is trying to shut it down. You know, YouTube is removing videos, and Twitter is kicking people off, and Google is altering search parameters so you can't actually look things up. I mean, they're doing their best to try to rein in the truth on this. And so just that fact alone kind of tells me that they're probably onto something with that. You add with that what these world leaders are saying, and folks, I don't want to scare anyone. I don't want anyone to panic, but I'm telling you, this is not a good setup. When you have people, massive amounts of people that are so terrified, so panicked, and so gullible that they will do anything, and that they will pretty much do anything to their fellow citizen because they're bad, because they're not complying, because they're wrong. And then you have world leaders using this kind of language, and they're not the only ones. They're probably, I would say, the top world leaders that's using this, but you can certainly find other world leaders over the past few months that said things similar to this. This is not going to lead us down a good path, and I don't know what it's going to take for people to finally wake up and see this. The amount of hysteria, the amount of mental illness right now. I mean, cult-like mental illness that's going on. I saw a poll that was taken amongst Democrats. 82% of Democrats are in favor of 100% constant, all the time, round-the-clock face diaper wearing. Nonstop. I mean, that's just insanity. Even if you could say that they're beneficial, do you think that you really need to wear it all the time? I mean, come on. And it's not about that, because there's been countless videos and Twitter posts and Facebook posts shared around that these, the liberals, they're wearing them not because of health reasons. They're wearing them as a statement. And we're seeing more and more violence and aggression being taken out against people that may not be wearing this, or people that don't prove that they have something in their body, or whatever it is. This is growing. I talked about this way back at the election, when they were putting the divide between, people that were conservative, and, the Homeland Security's been doing this by deeming, a patriotic extremist. Anyone that was patriotic could be considered an extremist. We're watching this go down a path, and I'm telling you, folks, it's not a good one. This kind of progression over the past 12 months, it doesn't lead to good places, and it usually doesn't just randomly stop on its own. When you have the media, when you have the citizenry, and when you have world leaders all saying the same thing. And I think it's interesting that you've got three very prominent world leaders saying pretty much the same kind of thing, the same kind of message in a short amount of time, to me is kind of an indicator that we are in the next phase of this, that there is a major push, a major crunch time for them to enact whatever it is that they're going to push on us. They don't care about the actual danger of a variant. That doesn't matter. In fact, most people, at least in polling, shows that it doesn't matter. They're still terrified. They're still terrified, and they're afraid. All this is happening, and yet what is the most prominent thing right now in the American news? Yeah, what happened a year ago tomorrow. That's the number one thing that's in the news. Something that is, you may disagree with me, but I don't think it was that big of a deal. I don't think it was that, horrible. And yet it's in the news right now, and that's all that's being talked about. And I think that is a distraction also. I think that's being used as a major distraction because there's too many other things happening that just, they don't look good. It's not that they're off. Things have been off for 2 years, okay? We know that. Things have been off. But the aggressiveness of the changes, the things that's coming out of some of these countries and some of the states here in the United States of what they're planning on doing, they're planning on becoming very aggressive about this. And in anyone that does not comply, they're showing and they're proving around the world that they are willing to use very extreme measures. So I guess my overall message today is you need to really start gearing up. I could be wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that I'm off on this. I hope that my little gut feeling is wrong. But I'm telling you, there's too many things happening around the world that it's showing me that it's not just that, our country is gearing up, but it's a effort that is being worked together. I mean, we're seeing this, it's like a plan, which of course we know that's what it is. We know that they've had a plan all along, and to reset and change things, and to change politics, and to change how we live. And I think we're seeing that the next phase of that plan kind of start to come into action because of what's happening. I just can't imagine all of these things just being coincidences. I mean, there's definitely an organized effort to get this message out there and to do the things that they're doing. So you got to start getting ready for this. I mean, gearing up, prepping up, kind of getting ready, because especially for those of you that may live in areas that are more liberal, that's going to be more prone to enact certain laws and stuff. I think we're going to start seeing that. I heard today that Chicago has canceled all their school classrooms in their school for whoever knows how long because of what's going on. We're seeing this more and more of businesses shutting down, at least temporarily, flights being canceled because of the fear of this variant. It almost seems worse than any other one, at least fear-wise. And you add to that of what's being said on a political level, I don't think it's going to end up good for us, folks. Get yourselves ready, prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually, because I have a feeling that we're entering a new phase of this, and I think it's gonna be bad. I think the things that they're saying, the threats that they're giving to us, I think that it's kind of a warning. They're letting us know it's going to be bad for you people that didn't listen. So get ready. All right, folks. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.